Welcome back to Berlin, home of the UOL, where our representative Unicorns got smashed by the North American invaders TSM. They've got a 1-0 lead as you see Sheepy and Doublelift returning to the stage. And in game 2 of the series, the Unicorns had side selection. They opted to pick blue side, gentlemen. We're getting set up for picks and bans. Exile, he secured first blood.
He did.
That was the peak.
Get smashed in lane.
It actually was the peak.
And then it all went downhill from there.
It was the only moment where they had a gold lead in the game, which is about 3-4 minutes into it, and then everything went wrong around the top lane. They fell super far behind, and obviously that is what they've been talking about behind the stage right now, saying, those kind of plays, let's not do them again.
Well, let's see what they do this time around. Kobe, picks and bans. UOL, they went for blue side again. Do you expect anything to change here?
The biggest thing that I keep on saying is I am so not sold on this Rise pick for Exile. I know that he really likes the champion, he's very comfortable on it, and you can talk about, oh yeah, into LeBlanc, that's the classic matchup for him.
Yeah.
But, and the champions, that was the least of the problems, right? Because again, it was about the tower dives, it was about that not only decision making but also execution of those tower dives. But that is one thing that I would definitely alter. Exile on Vladimir, even if you do not have a good lane phase, you can have a good team fight.
So, adaptations here from Unicorns of Love. Braum being banned instead of the Cassiopeia, and actually first picking the Gnar over the Gragas. Even though the Gragas actually was just fine for Unicorns of Love. Maybe the Iron wasn't something they were too happy with. Again, I don't really want to blame the draft too much. I think it was just execution in game.
Well, on the TSM side, they lock in the Gragas. Maybe that same matchup, but in reverse. And of course, Thresh for Bifrost.
Yeah, the very flexible Gragas could easily be Svenskeren taking that one. And the important thing here, tons of crowd control, versatility for TSM.
So Hylissang normally likes Blitzcrank when he sees the Thresh on the other side. It is an option here. Tahm Kench is also an option, like both very big picks for him as a support that often actually ends up creating a lot of plays for Unicorns of Love that they need to force these fights here. So both are available. He gets the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, I'm definitely a very big fan of those two, of the Tahm Kench specifically. For the Devourer, take away the possibility of those picks rather than having the hook for the more offensive look.
We also see Unicorns knowing they will lose the Gragas when they locked in the Gnar, but they want the Kha'Zix in return. They like that matchup. It was obviously the one Svenskeren tried to pick himself into last time, and then they swapped the Gragas to top lane and picked the Ivern. So Unicorns of Love are definitely changing up certain things. Svenskeren, though, he gets his Lee Sin, which is always a joy to watch.
Beautiful thing about flex picks, they can easily switch it up to a top lane Gragas as soon as they've seen that the Kha'Zix is picked up here. And Lee Sin into Kha'Zix is actually quite good, especially Svenskeren, as you said, very comfortable on this champion. That's definitely going to make Xerxes have to be a little bit more cautious around that mid lane.
This Cassiopeia ban, again, to me, it actually signals they might want to blind pick the Vladimir, and Cassiopeia is one of the matchups they don't want to risk taking, just in case Bjergsen does not show his mid laner. Obviously, with Syndra still being available, she is a perfectly fine blind pick.
Let's see what they decide to lock in, gentlemen. One last ban for UOL, the Twitch and the LeBlanc from TSM. Some respect there to Samux, whose Twitch has been very impressive. I'm just going to quickly loop back to that Lee Sin. 12 games played in summer. 83% win ratio for Svenskeren. His most successful jungler. And Xerxes, only 2 games in the Kha'Zix. Mixed responses is what I'll say on that one. Something that he needs to show us he can play that style as TSM into pick phase 2.
Tristana is available for Doublelift if they want to save the mid lane pick here for Bjergsen.
Yeah, I definitely think it has to be something that is one of those more scaling AD carries. He's just going to go right back to that Ashe. He's accurate as all get out on this Ashe, especially even from the bottom lane, hitting other laners. Kind of unprecedented, actually.
So mid lane pick right now for Unicorns of Love. Kassadin is available, not really a thing you want to just blind pick. I think Vladimir with the Cassiopeia ban could actually work for Unicorns. They go with the Corki though, which is what a lot of teams like to do, but when Exile did play the Rift Rivals, it did not look great. A lot of issues in the laning phase, and I think Bjergsen is not afraid of it.
Deficio, we said that last game about the Rise. I quoted his KDA 0.84. His Corki KDA is 0.52. And let's see if we can get first blood again this time round.
Well, let's talk about, what Unicorns have acquired here, because they do have, Jhin, long-range engage possibilities. Tahm Kench has the possibility with the mid-game Abyssal Voyage. So the bottom lane, which was the area of Unicorns of Love that Doublelift was praising, does have the ability, to affect the rest of the map as well when they transition into that, mid-game, out-of-lane phase and try and get those picks that they're looking for.
And we know, again, the lane swap might happen once again with Tahm Kench. That's super effective if you can actually ult into the top lane wave and then suddenly rush down that tower. Also for Unicorns of Love, with Exile here on this Corki, if he's able to have a fine laning phase where he doesn't fall behind, he is a late game threat that I think is easier to execute than a Ryze in some of these team fights.
Plus, I was also of the opinion that the Gnar was slightly more important than the Gragas when we were discussing the front line and, those two as far as the crowd control for their team fights. Vizicsacsi on the Gnar definitely has shown up.
Yeah, strongest performing member of UOL, all Rift Rivals long, maybe all Split long as well. Spring Split MVP. We've talked a lot about the importance of Chachi, and we'll talk a little bit more in-game. We've got some juicy stats for you, gentlemen. That's the Rift Rivals trophy that UOL and TSM are doing battle for. Your team compositions on your screen. We broke down quite a lot of what UOL can do. TSM, a little bit of everything. Some good flanking, good pick opportunities.
Yeah, very solid lanes all around, good scaling as well into team fights. It's very well-rounded comp from TSM, and obviously Unicorns relying more on long-range poke into creating that one pick, and of course Chachi being a split pusher on Gnar.
All right, Chachi being a split pusher, this could unlock UOL. Give us a more competitive game and a more competitive series here in Berlin. The crowd is definitely split. The pink lights on the side of the UOL fan base. And we're joining in to game number 2. TSM definitely looking to repeat their performance of game 1, Kobe.
Yeah, and if they are looking to do that, I believe they should have their eyes on Vizicsacsi, because as you said, Deficio, he is a big part of the split push to try and set up, for engages for them. He's also the center of their team fight.
Yeah.
This Mega Gnar is the only solid part of the team fight. Everybody else is a fairly squishy damage dealer, and Hylissang playing the defensive support there, trying to pull people out. This whole game pretty much revolves around, will Vizicsacsi, be able to be that hero for Unicorns?
And last game he got a solo kill when he actually played the Gragas, and that's not supposed to happen against a Gnar, so this should be a good lane for Vizicsacsi of all. And we know he likes to then push his lane, go in and join a team, as you highlighted just before, Kobe, and then they set up that play with like a Jhin ulti. And if TSM are caught with their pants down, suddenly you might actually get engaged on, and you can definitely lose some of these fights.
Vizicsacsi's been able to catch people with their pants down a few times this tournament already. Look at his CSD numbers. One of the impressive things to me, Kobe, is that Chachi's actually got a 6% jungle proximity there. And he actually has been camped a fair amount. A lot of resources thrown to try to shut him down, and he's still performing exceptionally well.
Definitely true. Thresh, the only other thing, though, is that Thresh, Biofrost, is actually pretty good at pulling people's pants up with the Dark Passage. So we'll see here, though. They do get collapsed on.
Wow, how many times have we seen this fight play out this time around, though? Flash comes down from Doublelift, another early respect from TSM, and I didn't actually see if they stole any of those raptors.
Bio got one, I believe.
That's a ward. That's a
that's
ward
he killed.
kill
Okay,
from earlier.
okay. So
what they did, though, a bit of extra damage was done to Kha'Zix, and Kha'Zix is one that does get a little bit low in the jungle, so he's actually getting some extra help here.
And you also slow him down a little bit, so Svenskeren knows, okay, he's still on the bottom side. He can now invade it on his blue buff and steal that away. So unless you see Xerxes go straight for TSM's blue buff, well, then it's a 3-buff start for Svenskeren.
And, Lee Sin can stick around there. He has a ward over the wall. If you get the jump on the Kha'Zix that early, then the burst damage can definitely be there. He's not going to stick around for it, though, even though he did have mid lane pressure with Bjergsen pushing in. He'll just use that information to know that Kha'Zix is not going to go gank top side.
Ooh, a lot of damage traded in the mid lane, as is the same down bottom. Samix comes away worse for wear, and Biofrost just sidesteps that deadly flourish.
Hylissang still level 1 here, no Devour from him. Bjergsen controlling the mid lane, knowing Svenskeren also off to a great start on Lee Sin. And you're not always too afraid of the early level 3 Kha'Zix. Yeah,
not too afraid of the Kha'Zix. Plus, I really like TSM jumping on their level advantage there. As you said, Hylissang was only level 1. Another hook lands,
Death sentence into Flay. No Devour, but no follow-up either. Split between the uprights. While all this trading is going on, head over to watch.lolesports.com. We have the duo lane focus stream. Sven, Xpecial, and Freak.
Such a big issue for Unicorn's bottom lane. The fact that Hylissang was still sitting at level 1. He's waiting for that big wave to come in, but you see TSM had done a great job just slow pushing it.
Also, they did a bait hot shot here, or a hawk shot from Double Lift. He shot it right onto Svenskeren to make UOL think that they were worried about someone there. That signals they're definitely going for the dive.
Hylissang is still only level 1. The cannon minion goes down, dead sentence, finds Samex. Devour buys a few seconds of time for Vizichachi to arrive. First blood is available, picked up by Svenskeren. Hornsa rather, makes it a double kill. Now he turns his attention onto Chachi, and TSM do what UOL could not.
Yeah, it's such a great dive here from TSM. The way they're tanking the tower, also knowing no level 2 from Hylissang just yet. They go and get a lot of damage on Samex instantly. And then even after the Devour, they know they have enough members to actually finish the job.
And it completely exemplifies the topic we brought up in game number 1 of TSM identifying the area they have their advantage in. Double Lift and Biofrost burned so many summoners down here early on and got Samex so low that it makes this dive pretty easy to pull off. And there's a big difference there compared to the dive that Unicorns pulled off on the first side. Biofrost tanks up the entire turret aggro, then flashes over the wall, and it makes that secure pretty seamless.
Let's see actually what happens around blue buff. Nothing, it appears. But we have to go like all the way back to that invade on the Raptor camp, because after that invade, Hylissang, instead of walking to the bottom lane and joining his AD carry and push for level 2, he went back in and helped Xerxes secure the red buff. And that actually cost him his level 2. Bjergsen forced to flash away. But obviously again with Hylissang then not getting level 2, he's useless in the lane. The double range from TSM takes over and they set up this play here. Normally you can never go for that early of a tower dive against a dual lane.
And 2 assists across the board for Sven, Double, and Biofrost. The teleport from Hornsa, hella worth, because he picked up both of the kills. And important to note, while the fight, you bring LA to Berlin.
You actually told me last time that you didn't know why you said that.
By the way,
that's not an LA word, that's a Northern California word. Continue though.
Look at the CS difference between Double Lift and Samex. It's already 20, because while that dive and fight was going on, Samex missed every single last hit. All of that experience to boot. Double Lift and Bio just setting up
now he's Canadian.
Success.
Apparently.
All right, the hooks keep coming through for TSM in the bottom side, though. Let's take a... Honestly, even though they're going for this trade, I would be more cognizant of where the junglers are right now. You have to always be worried when you're trading that heavily, you know, as top laners. Ooh, Svenskeren not able to land that Q. Good dodge there from Xerxes, but the pressure continues.
Right now we see TSM pushing mid, pushing bot lane all times. Svenskeren can then force Xerxes away because he knows that Bjergsen is right behind him, steal away another camp, and that means now Svenskeren will get ahead in experience, and suddenly Unicorns of Love are kind of just relying on the Gnar, sitting in that top lane to actually try and win his lane. Very hard for Exile in the 1v2 situation to do a whole lot.
TSM look even better than their group stage selves. Really confident play. Kobe, you talked about where the junglers are when top laners are trading. Well, Svenskeren, he's chilling in the tribush.
And he's so close to level 6. He's not going to be in range for this wave, but maybe the next wave. I don't know. They're going without the wave even.
Vizichachi's got flashes away from the barrel. Not enough minions to work with. This is a little bit messy.
Yeah, I think TSM should walk away from that because that is good. They got a flash out with, you know, the kind of desynced dive there. You know, Svenskeren's not quite level 6 yet. Needs, you know, one more camp or another wave of minions. And, you know, Hunts are going in. He's probably very happy to just get that flash out.
Probably the best thing you could actually have gotten from that, because you were not really getting the kill. The fact that Svenskeren did show himself obviously forced Chachi to play defensive. Unicorns, though, they gotta find a way to make sure Samex can actually get back in this game. He's sitting in his boots and a Doran shield. He gets double longsword on the side of Double Lift. There's no way he can win the trades.
And especially as a Jhin getting down like that and focused so early on in the match, it's going to be, you know, difficult for him to come back. We did talk about, you know, the level 6s for that bottom lane when they come in. Maybe they can affect somewhere else, but, you know, the chain of events from that level 1 into the blue steel, you know, result in another blue steel here, and we continue to see TSM working off of it.
And we just see what the North American teams have been doing so well at this tournament here. It's always mid lane, pushing in his lane so jungler can invade, and then they can even work together. Then a little bit later, once you've got enough control that way, you can then pair the jungler with the support. So they keep just tagging in, being like, now it's the mid laner's turn, now it's the jungler's turn, and so support's turn, and they keep finding these ways to always invade in and take something away from the European teams.
And just making
right now it's their pride.
Making it look so easy as TSM. They've got that 2,000 gold lead. Keep looking at the minimap and CS numbers, and while UOL and TSM's mid and top are about okay, it's going to be very difficult because Hornsa is playing very confidently on this Gragas matchup.
And I just wanted to point out as well to Deficio's point that he mentioned there, that is something that TSM have been working on for a very long time.
Top lane now.
All right, well, let's take a look at this dive. Remember, he has no flash.
Barrel into the tower. Gnar has already been used. Svenskeren, well, Shockwave gets connected as well. An easy kill for Bjergsen.
And it's just so many small steps in favor of TSM. Bot lane trading.
All right, Ash Arrow is available for double lift. Summoner heal's already been used. Double lift. Now holding on to the cooldown for now. Not sure if he had enough mana for it, though. Was running low or decided not to go for it.
He didn't want to arrow Samax because of Devour from Hylissang. Could probably use it on just a Tahm Kench to maybe force a flash, but it doesn't matter because right now TSM are trying to get top lane tower. Unicorn's trying to get mid lane.
All right, who gets tower first blood? Team Solomid will secure it, and they'll lose only their 4th tower before 15 minutes throughout all of Rift Rivals. It's a trade, but TSM come out with a significant advantage.
This is basically the only response from Unicorns of Love, just getting that mid lane tower. But again, it's that setup, you know, you have the jungle and mid laner just going together after the push, and then you can actually make plays in side lanes.
Yeah, definitely a trade where one party knows they got ripped off, but there's nothing he could do about it. They're just going to have to be happy with what they got. Mid lane turret definitely is a pivotal one, but it's only really pivotal if you have pressure on the map, if you have somewhere you can press out, and there's no way that Unicorns can really get it even across the river. So it's mostly going to be defensive vision from them rather than trying to take advantage of that extra area.
Oh, so tough. Coming into 10 minutes now, Unicorns of Love never even got a chance to prove they could play slower. They never get a chance to prove they could fix their game 1 mistakes because TSM went, oh, we'll show you how to dive. We'll show you what you messed up.
Exactly. That's really the scary thing, that Unicorns of Love, last game, they definitely made a lot of mistakes. This game was just TSM completely outplaying them.
Yep.
Starting from that invade in with the jungle camps, and then of course Hylissang going back to help, so he fell behind in experience, and then a beautiful bot lane execution. So TSM right now, they're just controlling the game.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see, you know, what of this tournament TSM also take back to North America, you know, tomorrow or next week when we do have the LCS return. Here goes Hanser trying to get a little something, but all he gets is the package. Previously, because TSM, as I said, they've been working on a lot of these things for quite a long time. Not only the diversity in their compositions that they're running, but you talked about jungle invading and using their pushing lanes, and the timing of that has been something that people have been critiquing for quite a long time for this team, yet here at this tournament, it seems like it's been so easy for them to pull that off.
I mean, it feels like every game at Worlds and in the spring split would have Svenskeren walk in alone, die, and then people would be like, why is he there in the first place? And there was just lack of synergy between him and the laners. Around mid lane, we might see a fight. Unicorns on the way.
Abyssal Voyage will start to channel. Deadly Flourish comes out. Ash Arrow tags onto Samax. Svenskeren's looking for a catfish to eat. Hornsa picks up his 3rd kill of the game. Vizicachi completed the teleport. Now he's in trouble. Barrel comes out as well. It's Sven that picks up the kill.
And if you're Exile right there, just take the arrow. There's a Tahm Kench next to you. He can just devour you, and he walks away with you, but he flashes.
Ah, every man for himself!
So it's like, Hylissang, now you got hit, and then he can't get away because he can't devour himself. He actually just ended up killing his own support, who was ready to save him.
All right, now all of a sudden Bjergsen's the target. Exhaust is on. He sidesteps a couple of the shots, one of them at least. The 4th and final connects, but the Shockwave dissuades Exile and Xerxes. Samax, no, Xerxes in trouble. Svenskeren's got 1. Samax finally rejoins the fight, and it's just another for TSM.
This is an absolute smashing, my friend.
Sorry, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Samax and Bio. AD carry versus support. The Lantern comes out. Here comes double lift. Exhaust is on. Death Sentence finds Samax, and Svenskeren is on a killing spree.
0-7 right now as TSM smash game number 2 already 12 minutes into the game. It is looking like Unicorns of Love are looking for another way out.
Well, here Exile with the arrow, Hylissang is,
Flashes, not only does he not take it.
He just flashes, and Hylis dies, obviously, because of it. Chachi came in mini Gnar, not the most effective TP, obviously, from a Gnar at this point, and really nothing Unicorns can do at that point.
Is that flash? Tilt is a horrible word, but is that Exile being in his head, in his?
It's just,
you know,
to me,
it's been
panic.
a difficult tournament. It's been a difficult split, and well, Exile's under threat again. No flash available. Svenskeren, Sonic Wave is sidestepped. Exile might just get soloed by Bjergsen, but he had no shockwave to fire. And yeah, the panic flash means UOL down 5,000 gold. And like, TSM are just playing exquisite League of Legends.
All right, let's talk about optimal Rift. Oh, never mind. Mid lane.
Let's fight.
Okay, Abyssal Voyage comes out. Where's the target? UOL don't even know. Visit Chachi. Starting to charge jab. Xerxes goes over the wall and is forced to run away. Bjergsen goes down to exile. Barrel comes out from Hornsa, and at least UOL get their first kill.
Yeah, we are seeing Unicorns of Love, of course, fall really far behind, but they never stop trying to go for these fights, and that's something you have to talk about, because if TSM suddenly feels like the game is over and they can just slowly push it in, well, then they will get engaged on, like we see here from Hilla saying. But then tower's gonna fall low, and that's kind of the problem when you are this far down. You always lose something.
I just love the threat from Biofrost. Devour comes out, Death Sentence finds a target, spits out Exile. But Bio is just dodging and diving the whole way, threatening UOL the entirety. All right, Visit Chachi, come on, your opponent's 3-0-1. And Visit Chachi's still at least even on CS. The game has kind of been lost around him as it plays out.
All right, take another look here to Fishu. As you said, Unicorns keep going for these plays. They have all 5 members here trying to pull off this pinch and double up this still down bottom lane, pushing for TSM. They do eventually get that kill, and there's the kind of, bowling pin set up here as TSM unable to get anything back after.
Double left is top lane right now. Chachi is recalling though. TSM 5,000 goal lead at 14 minutes. Not too shabby.
It's not too shabby at all, Nige. And at 20 minutes, Unicorns of Love were down 8,098 gold. So, TSM, you have a benchmark to beat. Can they find another 3,000 gold and beat their own records and put UOL further down?
And I saw a lot of discussion about like the best North American team going into Rift Rivals. Some of the players were saying TSM. I saw some of the players saying CLG as well. Like, is this the best North America have to offer, or do they have better stuff at home as well?
It's hard to say, because what they're playing right now, they aren't showing a lot of mistakes, but they're not really being pressed at all. They're not really being pushed.
Now that's the truth. Hornsa is going to be under pressure. Abyssal Voyage will deliver Exile and Xerxes. Barrel comes out. Xerxes knocked forward. The root from the Deadly Flourish. Hornsa's chunked down to 300, 200, 100. Dead! Exile gets his second of the game. The rest of TSM have split the map, and they're in the left quadrant.
Trying to trade this kill and the bot lane tower for the mid lane and top lane here. TSM with the Rift Herald. Trying to get that tower down, and also Bjergsen will get mid tower. Rest of Unicorns back to base. Maybe looking for another fight. I don't think there's a package for Exile though.
Looking at the mini-map.
Oh no, he got the package.
Towers for 1 kick away onto Visit Chachi. So TSM get 2 towers at the cost of Hornsa's life and the bottom lane turrets. But UOL not conceding, not giving up. It is a 5.5k gold deficit, but they're still looking for scenarios where they have a numbers advantage, and that means they can find the kills.
Yeah, and if you just sit back and do nothing, the game is done, right? Then you for sure going to lose all the objectives, and then you can't defend anymore. So yes, they're trading like kill and 1 tower for 2 towers, which in many ways is not optimal. But I think at this point, they just need to get some gold. If they can get to like 2 items around that 22, 23 minute mark, and then maybe try and fight, it really is the way back in the game for them.
Definitely agree there. They were also able to get the kill gold, so every little bit counts here for Unicorns of Love as they're trying to work their way back into this one. The problem with getting this far behind this early and losing this many turrets means that TSM have a very clear path here into the jungle, and it makes it difficult. Right now, though, jumping on this Cloud Drake is quite good for Unicorns of Love, because Svenskaren's going for Wolves right now.
He's pretty far behind enemy lines at the moment.
I see a lot of control wards on the map for UOL. That's a weird sentence to say at Rift
And the
Rivals.
bottom lane, actually, they look like they might go for another play here as they see TSM's bottom lane, extend here, but a Hawkshot comes through.
That's only the 3rd dragon that Unicorns have secured here at Rift Trials, and I think Cloud could be pivotal if they can get their hands a little bit more.
You take what you can get, Trevor.
Move around. Right now, Exile gets zoned away by the command attack. All right, TSM, they're grouped. They've got a 5-man stack on the top half of the map. Visit Chachi with teleport. Slowly gonna push this wave in. Got that Black Cleaver, and now TSM are roaming towards the bottom half. What's the thinking here, Kobe?
Well, they would have liked to set up around the Drake, which was neutral objective, not very big threat for you to start it out to try and force something with their lead, but since Unicorns jumped on that, they're going for red buff instead.
Boulder Toss comes down from Chachi, doesn't tag anyone for the slow. And the Brambleback is defended, successfully holding on to their jungle creeps. UOL need to do every little bit they can. Scrappy, scrappy, scrappy.
And they kind of have to hope that TSM is not really trying to look for any big fights at the moment, but then they find the Gragas.
Yeah, Hanser does not go for the ultimate, though. And they let Exile walk away today.
I've noticed as well this tournament that the North American junglers have actually all been performing very well. It definitely seems like there's a small difference in style between, let's say, a Svenskeren and a Xerxes. Xerxes is much more of that, I'm going to farm to late game and then be like a big team fighting carry. Svenskeren has found a lot of success with some early moves. Same for Contract, same for Mike Young. I've definitely been, I think, in favor of the North American team, the early aggression from some of their players. And Svenskeren, last game, great performance. This one, same again. And Hanser shows up.
He does, completes the teleport. Vizichachi's able to bait that one out.
He's like, you can't recall now, by the way.
I mean, you are the global authority on teleport ratings, Kobe.
Yeah, I would say double lift would call worth on that one.
Okay.
So he didn't have to 1v1 the Gnar.
Well, Vizichachi still doing what he can. By the way, plus 30 CS. He has spent more of his time in that side lane, to be fair. Still the shining light. Still the man that UOL needs to look to. I mean, Vizichachi has to find that Mega Gnar and set up a big team fight.
Yeah, and obviously he wants some carries with some damage behind him, and I think Exile is actually then the other guy you need to look at. We obviously criticize him so much, but this game, he's been actually doing what he could. He's been under a lot of pressure mid from an Orianna, and the fact that his jungler was behind almost the entire early game. So he's been sitting there just getting 2 kills, the only 2 Unicorns have. So he's the man with the gold, and if he gets to that Infinity Edge fairly fast, which is of course difficult at this point because you're not getting a lot of farm, then you actually have an opening as well for Unicorns of Love, but you're pretty far down. What
they have to worry about, though, is the Ash Arrow in combination with Thresh and Orianna, because yes, you have Tahm Kench who can eat someone who gets arrowed, unless it's Tahm Kench himself, but it's the follow-up CC that Unicorns have to really respect here, because TSM just want to force any sort of engage so they can use their gold lead right now and the extra power that they have in those fights. Looks like they might have their sights set on this trio.
Oh, this is scary for UOL. Teleport coming down from Chachi. He's in Mega Gnar, so once that time's out, TSM have a small advantage. Kobe, you talked about the power. Look at the itemization difference. 2 items completed for Bjergsen already, and Doublelift making his way to finishing his Zeal item.
I think they're making the call here to send Hanser back for that bottom. Oh, they might just dive it here. He cancels the recall.
All right, Vizichachi's very far away! 3-man shockwave! Death sentence as well! Samix is inside Hilly's belly, and Hanser with a fantastic barrel. Svenskeren's got the flash available, might just need it. Exile's on a killing spree, his third of the game. Here comes Vizichachi, boomerang onto Bio, and the tower's helping out. Tower's now aggroed. Mega Gnar flashed away from, but you can't get away from the wallet. There it goes! Xerxes kills double.
Failed dive from TSM, and you cautioned against it, Deficio. You know, getting lackadaisical in the mid game. TSM do give over a sizable amount of money. Not done yet. Vizichachi on the chase.
Death sentence, but there's no damage to follow up. Here comes Exile. He's looking for Bjergsen. Bjergsen's looking for Chachi. The attack in the distance not enough. Exile's on a rampage. He hits Bio with a big one. Death sentence comes out, but there's no tower to run to. 5 kills, Exile.
And Baron, they're coming back. They can do Baron as well.
Svenskeren is on his way as the man to try and save this here for TSM. Exile over the wall, 5 members alive for Unicorns of Love. They need a ward behind here to see Svenskeren. They placed it just now.
Nice.
This is going close. Svenskeren's got the Sonic wave. He goes in. Team Solomid steal the Baron.
And he gets out with a kill on Exile as well.
Are you kidding me? Unicorns just did everything to get back in the game, and then they lose to Baron. Svenskeren, he's still hovering around looking for someone.
Everybody's shaking their heads after that. Even Parth right there is like, this is not the way we pressure in the mid game with this lead.
Oh, bot lane.
All right, Hanser's under some threat. Hilly needs to find the lick and stick, but there's no damage to follow up. The crowd was so
What a roller coaster, Trevor!
UOL, then TSM, and TSM now have Baron on their squad.
All right, so in the end, TSM get the Baron, all planned, obviously, after the start of that dive, setting up for Svenskeren to steal it, but Unicorns of Love still got 5 kills on their Corki. Yes, it sucks you didn't get that big objective, but they got a lot of gold right there on one of the most important carries in this game. Now they're kind of overextended mid lane, though.
Bum, 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 bum. Hilly's going to get away from the death sentence, but he can't get away from the death squad. 5 members of Team Solomid collapsing down, and Hilly's gone.
Plus, the next Drake is Infernal, much better at snowballing there for TSM. So they have the Baron buff. They can transition into this Infernal Drake after that pick as well. And Svenskeren. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's so close. I think he got it like 60 HP.
It was an early smite from Xerxes as well. He did use his smite combo, but not able to get the correct calculations there.
Super quickly, while we were in that replay, Unicorns of Love were able to pick up their first blue buff on their side of the map. As it stands,
that's what's important, eh?
8 blue buffs have spawned, and UOL have only secured 2. Because TSM have dominated every aspect of this game.
Well, Exile, take
Except for that tower.
Yeah, that kind of thing that happened 2 minutes ago, obviously. But man, I mean, Unicorns in the end, I think they just bought so much into the hype when they're on the Baron. They actually forgot about Svenskeren early on, and then when they got it so low, they couldn't stop him in time from getting in there, and they had to then suddenly risk the 50-50. Obviously, with the fact they killed 4 guys, they technically had time, but they were probably all screaming at that point that this was the comeback.
Well, we were screaming, there's no doubt there.
I would have to see the replay, but I don't think they had vision of him leading up to it, and he arrived when it was at like 2,000.
They did place a ward over the wall, but they might have seen him too late. And then obviously Chachi were on his way out to try and stun him and obviously make sure he couldn't get in the pit. But that could actually suddenly look like one of the most important plays that we didn't expect in this game, where Svenskeren had to steal a Baron away from Unicorns of Love. Would normally said it would be the other way around, with Xerxes being the man trying to do that.
Not only that, though, he got a kill, and he also got out, and then they were able to set up a pick afterwards. So, you know, the gold swing that you were talking about actually is a seesaw, and went right back the other way.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. Svenskeren literally walked away and watched Exile crash to the ground. Exile, though, did finish that Infinity Edge. Mr. Fisher was rightly pointing out 5 kills to his name. Svenskeren, 4-1-6. Everything that TSM have done right, he has been involved in. And now TSM, with the last few seconds of Baron and an 8,000 gold lead, are barreling down the bottom lane. There's only inhibitor towers left to target, Deficio.
25 minutes into the game, TSM with every member on the bottom side. Honzo did dodge that little stun from Chachi. No Mega now right now. They have to see potential engage.
Not yet. Honzo, where's the barrel? Tongue Lash comes out from Hillisang. The barrel actually kind of whiffs, doesn't find the targets as UOL are able to spread out. They've also all got their flashes. I say that as Visit Chachi uses his. Curtains are called, and Honsa gets tagged with 2.
And Chachi's not in a good position to get his Mega Gnar and actually make a big play. Xerxes is spotted right now. All of TSM moving towards him.
Yeah, TSM, the reason they go in on that is because Vizichachi, recently exhausted, can't charge up any more rage to turn Mega, and he ends up having to flash defensively, which is a very big summoner spell for this team. As we said, their team fight, it really does hinge on that Mega Gnar engage for them. That's their big crowd control ability.
Well, let's see if Vizichachi can find it. Ash Arrow's going to be available in just a little while. That cooldown ticking away. TSM keep getting that chip damage onto the inhibitor. Shockwave whiffs. Doesn't find a target. There's no flash for the engage. Vizichachi manages to get that crunch over the minion. All right, Deadly Flourish comes out. Haunts on the front line. Xerxes already down. Svenskeren comes in, got the Dragon's Rage available to him, and despite Samux being untouched, Svenskeren manages to get the ward hop, but it's a boot backwards, and the inhibitor and a kill. TSM will be happy. Unicorns unable to do anything just yet, and can't even get an exit frag on the way out.
Oh, but TSM feeling confident because Vizichachi had no flash in that fight, so they actually walked back in to get that inhib. And good turnaround from Hanser. Then some of the follow-up ultis not really hitting. Svenskeren's the wrong way due to a flash or a jump, I believe. And Bjergsen, of course, didn't get anyone with the shockwave. But it doesn't matter if you're TSM because you already got bot inhib. We're still very early in the game. So no flash means Chachi and the rest of Unicorns can't really get on to TSM. And look at the turnaround here on the Xerxes. Due to the hit on Hillisang, he can't actually devour Kha'Zix quickly enough. And that means they can get that 1 kill, and then suddenly we get Missed ulti from Hanser, jump from Chachi, meaning Svenskeren kicks him the other way. And they all stay alive.
All right, it's 1 minute and 10 seconds till the next Baron. TSM have got super minions in the bottom lane. They've got a line of wards pushing up and just pretty easy to read what they're going to do next. Let's just see how they set up the vision. Oh, Exile actually misses that shot, but he's got a package. Gonna need that one to escape.
Oh, wrong way.
Does it the opposite direction. You can actually see on the minimap.
So hard, his head turned around and his mouse went backwards.
TSM, they're going to mid lane now.
Hey, I like that one.
That was good.
That was good. Kicked him so hard he saw the curvature of the earth.
There you go.
That's Scott Pilgrim quote. Team Solomid, 5v4, don't even need Baron. Visit Chachi, gets devoured, but he's in. Mini Gnar about to pop Mega Gnar, no flash for the engage. Hilly gets bopped sideways by Hornser, and Team Solomid, they decide to engage. Mega Gnar comes out, doesn't find really the stuns that they wanted. Inhibitor number 2 falls, but it's not 3 inhibitors.
Damn.
A 2-man play and the death sentence onto Samex. Double lift with a double kill. Team Solomid at 29 minutes want to beat their game 1 record. Nexus turret number 1 goes down. Exile is forced away. So much damage. Double lift finds the ace. The triple to close out the game as the Nexus turrets fall. Team Solomid go 2-0 up in the Rift Rivals finals.
Dominating Unicorns of Love. I think their early tower dive was beautiful from TSM. Seeing that advantage, executing on it so quickly, put Unicorns so far behind in this game that it was almost impossible for them to actually get back in the game. And TSM had that moment, obviously, where they went for the tower dive. They lost members. Then they had to steal a Baron. That was kind of the big potential turning point. But once they actually reclaimed
That's not the plan. That's never the plan.
Not the plan. But once Svenskeren actually took the Baron, we then saw TSM kind of refocus and finish the game.
One momentary blip in what was 29.5 minutes of just near perfect play. TSM are just 1 win away from taking the series. The bragging rights and proving NA is greater than EU. Officially, Shocks, take it away.
Well, they are almost there, and who's going to take it away from them? TSM up 2-0, and well, not as decisive as victory as Game 1, but it will be hard to top that. Still a very decisive victory, and in Game 1, we saw that Unicorns of Love tried to execute some dives that went wrong, but this time around, it was TSM that made the initiative. So let's get the first replay up on our screen, because they pulled the trigger early, Jack.
Showing them how it's done. Yeah, Samex was on like 6 CS at this point in the game, because this is a continuation of a really good early laning phase by TSM's bottom lane, but then also having the adaptation to go for the dive. And then the actual execution of the dive was really good because it was the support and the tanky Gragas top laner who took the majority of the turret shots, which allowed the damage dealers to get it done.
I think there's so many little things too. Svenskeren pathing down to set up the TP ward for Hanser at the exact right time. The bot lane with their wave manipulation actually having a very slow push after they had already harassed Samex out. So the wave crashing exactly as the TP comes in, exactly as Svenskeren finishes Krugs. Like the whole thing was so good.
And it was really important that TSM made this play happen too, because the expectation is that UOL, they're going to look for another rotation up to the top side, and this time Chachi has a Gnar, so being able to dive becomes easier, being able to push the wave, they've already got harassment on the turret, they can open up the map sooner, and the game plan from Game 1 should be more effective in Game 2, but TSM were like, no, we're going to dive you at level 2, and they did a fantastic job of it.
I believe we're also going to take a look at a top lane dive, because not only did they put pressure on the bottom lane, they also put pressure on the top lane because they know that Visit Chachi can be influential on this Gnar.
And this was something that the casters talked a lot about, which is very much how well TSM utilize mid-lane pressure. The fact that Bjergsen on this Orianna always has the mid-wave under control, and they utilize that to not only get vision in the river, but to then translate that into ganks across the map is just one of the big strengths that TSM have demonstrated in this tournament.
And I also think one of the impressive parts about it is actually how quickly they returned for that gank. They had already forced out the flash earlier, so being able to organize that dive before Chachi has his flashback gives them essentially a free kill. And I think it's all these little things that TSM are doing that are making them look so dominant.
And all the skirmishes just look very clean from the side of TSM as well, and that is something that we had praised Unicorns for, that they usually in those situations, those scrappy situations, do better. Does this have to do with the goal difference, the fact that TSM has been so far ahead, or does this have to do with the fact that they are just one step above, even in those skirmishes and team fights today?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. The team clearly seems to be playing better together. You can see Visit Chachi on screen has had some good moments, but the team play has just been so much stronger for TSM. The one little blip where they overdove the mid lane was pretty much it for this game, and then Svenskeren swung it back with the Baron steal. Aside from that sequence of events, it would have been a solid TSM victory.
And I will say, we got to give some credit to Exile, because, you know, we were definitely pretty hard on him. I think in the pregame, the expectations were very low for him. He did have a strong game on Corki. Certainly wasn't enough to actually turn the tides of the game, but he is playing, I think, better than some people may have expected. Like, lane has not been a catastrophe for him by any means.
And I think that's really important to note, because a lot of the early deficits that the Unicorns usually suffer do come from that mid lane, the fact that Exile does struggle so much. But this time, it's been a very team-orientated deficit that either TSM facilitating or UOL are falling into failure.
Well, in this game, we were waiting for kind of the last huzzah, and it came for the Unicorns of Love. They won a team fight, so that could have been the turnaround, but it wasn't quite. We're going to take a look at this replay brought to you by Acer, because they do manage to get some kills.
Yeah, Brother Sven going a little bit too deep here and giving them their chance, but I mean, he made up for it later on. TSM, you know, they do dive too deep. They do get actually taken out. Vizichachi able to come around behind, and I think that this was an opening into the game for UOL, but everything kind of goes.
We can forgive TSM this moment of being overeager, I presume. Yeah.
I think we will, especially because Sven is able to later steal the Baron, right?
They immediately turn it back around. They make one big bad play, but then I hope we get this to roll all the way until the Baron.
Yeah, we will look at the whole thing, but I think we're going to take a look at Exile finishing off 2 people as well.
Yeah, I mean, he had the package, right, coming out of base, so TSM again get punished more for the overdive. He kills pretty much everyone, and then you think that UOL can just turn to Baron, and how many times had we seen this story? It seemed like every UOL group stage victory, but Svenskeren does everything possible. The smite from Xerxes comes out a little bit early. They don't communicate well enough to stop damage on Baron long enough to just kill Sven, and by the time he goes in, they are forced into a 50-50 steal. And killing Exile on the way out was just the cherry on top.
The fact that he survives, too, is just like, oh, that sucks.
And it could have been so big if Unicorns of Love were able to get that Baron, too. Like, the map completely changes. They buy so much more time. They get a lot more gold. And it hurts as a Unicorns of Love fan to see that happen right at that moment, but TSM fans are like, oh, Sven, that was beautiful. Because the fact that he was able to get that steal, he died, and you made this great quote, Azel, Sven giveth, but he also taketh away. And I feel like that was so apt for what happened in that moment.
Yeah, and it really hurts for Unicorn that Svenskeren made that play, because we've seen from the early games, this tournament and in this series, the TSM has the upper hand over UOL. And you only get so many chances to get those comeback team fights into Barons. If they make that play, there's a good chance they actually win the game. But now they're in a situation where they would have to do that 3 times in a row to take the series. And that was their moment to try and get back into that game.
That could have been that moment to, well, turn it all around for the Unicorns of Love, but they didn't get it. The series is on the line for the Unicorns of Love when they step up on stage for Game 3. And after the break, we'll also hear from Phoenix One's jungler, Mike Young, so stick around.
Finds Samex! Devour buys a few seconds of time for Vizichachi to arrive. First blood is available, picked up by Svenskeren. Haunser rather, makes it a double kill.
Thomas, flash. He's not flash, he's not flash. TP! No. Okay, I take. Okay, that's good. Got him!
No damage to follow up! Here comes Exile! He's looking for Bjergsen, Bjergsen's looking for Chachi. The attack in the distance not enough. Exile's on a rampage! He hits Bio with a big one! Death sentence comes out, but there's no tower to run to.
No! Hey! Solid base. Oh my god. Dragon's in a minute.
He goes in! Team Solomid! Steal the Baron! Oh my god. Got a package. Gonna need that one to escape.
Oh, wrong way.
Does it the opposite direction.
Wait, I clicked on... Oh my god, maybe I clicked on the map.
Team Solomid go 2-0 up in the Rift Rivals Finals.